Hello everybody, this is Chris Bruskowitz and from Trip 55, and today I'm going to show you how to light an MSR WisperLite stove. Today we're going to be lighting the stove with a white gas fuel bottle. So we're going to go over all the steps how to light the stove and possible troubleshooting if necessary. So when you open up the bag, you're going to have your instruction manual with some extra parts. You can have your tinfoil base and your cover. You're going to have a fuel pump. You're going to have your stove. You're going to have a lighter. And then you're going to have your fuel pump, or your fuel bottle separate in the bag. And just keep the instruction manual in the bag. You don't really need it too much. Put it off to the side. Alright, so first thing what you're going to do is you're going to set up your stove. You want to get there's two tinfoil pieces, a larger one and a smaller one. And you want to take the smaller tinfoil piece and you want to lay it down on the ground flat. It's the base to insulate the stove from the ground. Next, you're going to take your fuel bottle. You're going to open the cap. Make sure to open the cap below your neck, so if anything sprays out, it doesn't get in your eyes. Take the cap, put it off to the side. Then you're going to take the pump, insert it into the opening in the bottle, and then screw it. Make sure the thread's on properly so you don't cross thread, and then just make it hand tight. Okay, so it's one thing you have to note is if your bottle is full with fuel or half full. If you're half full, you have to pump more. If you're full, you have to pump less. So it's labeled on the bottle. I labeled it 20 to 30 pumps if the bottle is full with white gas, and then 30 to 40 pumps half fuel, if the bottle is half full. And we'll talk about more pumping later. If you have to pump more if necessary, make sure the valve is off. And then you want it. This is about half full, so I'm gonna give it around 35 pumps. Unflex the hose a little bit. It's just straighten it out, and it was folded up. And when it was stored, you want to unfold it. Just lay it down flat. Next, you want to take your fuel bottle with the valve closed and the bottle pressurized, and lay it down. And you want to take a little prong on the end of the fuel hose and insert it into the female end on the pump. You want to twist, insert it, and then there's a little latch. You latch onto the side of the pump to secure it, and then make sure everything's flat and just keep the bottle flat. Everything on the tinfoil. So our next step, what we have to do is we have to open up the fuel bottle a little bit, the pump, so a little bit of fuel goes in the bowl. So how these stoves work is you have to prime the wick and prime the actual stove before you light it. So I'm going to fill up this little bowl in the bottom with fuel, light the bowl once it's full of fuel, and then there's going to be a big flame, and once that flame dies down, then I want to open up the pump again. Stove will turn on. So, and one thing to note, if the bowl does not fill, then what you have to do is you have to shake the stove. If you listen closely, there's a needle that's moving up and down, and so how these stoves are designed, there's a little shaker needle inside the stove. So if it won't start, shake the stove, and it'll clear any deposits. It will clear any blockaging in the fuel line, and the stove should light. Don't be afraid to be a little aggressive shaking it. It's only if you have to, if necessary. So first, I'm going to open up the pump a little bit, and open it about 3/4, and wait for fuel to fill in the bowl. It may take a couple seconds. It's starting to drip down, if you can see. And as soon as the bowl is almost reaching the top, full of fuel, close the pump. Then you make sure the pump's fully off, and just wait for any extra fuel to flow in. And then you want to take the lighter that was in the bag. You want to light the bowl. There should be fuel in the bowl, and then light it. So now there's going to be a large flame. It should be a couple feet high, and currently the pump is off, because what this is doing is that it's priming the hose, heating it up, So before the fuel actually burns, it's vaporized. So right now the pump is off, and I'm just going to wait for the flame to rise and die down. And then if you're questioning about the tin foil, we'll put it around the stove right after we place the pot on. We'll place the pot on once the stove is fully lit, and we'll place the tin foil around the pot. The tin foil around the pot is to prevent wind from blowing out the flame, and keep all the heat centralized on the pot. Now it may take a minute or two or longer for the flame to die down. That's perfectly fine. Now, if you turn on the stove right now, the stove will not function properly, so please wait for the flame to die down. The flame should be about an inch high from the bottom before we turn it on. So get ready. Right now is a good time. Now, right now you want to open up the stove all the way. And so now you successfully lit your MSR WisperLite fuel stove. And if the flame's a little bit of throbbing, that means you don't have enough pressure. If you're ever hesitant, always pump it more. Pumping it generally helps. You're not going to hurt it necessarily. So I see a little bit of throbbing, so I'll give it maybe five more pumps. And now the flame is strong and consistent. And you can tell if the stove is properly functioning. If the metal around it starts to become red, then your stove is properly lit and properly burning. You should have a bright blue flame, and it should be pretty hot, something like a foot above. Now, one thing is you want try to keep the pump head out of dirt, because you don't want pump getting into the actual pump mechanism, because that could clog it up and prevent the canister from actually pressurizing. Now, once you have your pot on, now you want to take your large tinfoil piece, place it around the stove with the little notch around the hose. And now your MSR fuel stove is properly lit and ready to cook whatever you're looking to make. So now, once your stove's all lit and now you want to put it all away, all you simply want to do is remove your tinfoil and make sure your pot's all off. And simply all you have to do is turn off the stove. Once the pump is fully closed, wait for the flame to die down. Could take a few seconds. All the leftover fuel is just burning off. And then once the flame's fully down, let the stove sit for a couple minutes so it can cool down. Take it apart now. So once it's cooled down for a few minutes, then you want to release the hose, go into the stove that you attached earlier. So you're going to unlatch the latch, and then you're just going to wiggle the male end out of the female end of the pump. It might be a little tight, that's fine. Just be gentle with it. A little fuel might come out, that's okay. And then just leave your stove to the side for maybe a good 15 minutes at least, just so the stove can cool down. You don't want to put it in the bag while it's hot. And next, you want to depressurize the fuel bottle. So do it away from any flame. Do it below, like around your belly, way below your face, because it's pressurized fuel bottle, and a little bit of fuel may splatter. Just want to open it. It's going to hiss. All the pressure is going to be released. Then you want to unscrew the pump, remove it, put that to the side, and then take your cap, put it back on. And then you can put everything back in the bag, just as you found it. Remember, let the stove cool for at least 15 minutes before you put it away. Fold up your tin foil. Just just put everything back just as you found it. That's really it. I'm gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes and then we'll package it all up. Thanks again for tuning in, and if you have any questions, let me know.